You're sitting in a dark room at 2 in the morning. The glow of the screen is the only light. Everyone else is asleep. Everyone else has no idea. You've just gotten inside a system that wasn't supposed to let you in. Your heart is hammering so hard, you can feel it in your fingertips. You didn't steal anything. You didn't break anything. You just proved that you could. That feeling, that precise electric feeling, is the beginning of everything. It's the same feeling at every level. The stakes just keep getting higher, and the people you become along the way, you wouldn't recognize any of them from where you're standing right now. Level 1, the script kiddie. You are 14 years old, and you just watched a YouTube video about how to hack Wi-Fi. You download a tool someone else wrote. You run it against your neighbor's network. It works. You're inside their router in 11 minutes. You don't do anything with the access. You just look at it. You just sit there, staring at a screen full of connected devices, and feel like a god. You tell your friend at school the next day. He doesn't believe you. You show him the screenshot. Now he believes you. That validation, that tiny hit of being seen, is more addictive than you know. You spend the next 6 months downloading other people's tools. You run denial of service attacks on your school's grading server. When report cards are due, you crash your older brother's Xbox game mid-session, just because you can. You use pre-built exploit kits you barely understand. You don't know what most of the code means. You don't care. You're not a hacker. You're a user with dangerous tools. You tell yourself that's the same thing. It isn't. But that distinction will take years to fully understand. Level 2, the hobbyist. You're 17, and something shifts. You stop just running tools and start asking what's inside them. You open the source code for the first time. It looks like noise. You keep staring until the noise becomes pattern. You learn Python. Then you learn C. Then you learn how memory actually works, how a processor actually thinks, how a network packet actually travels from one machine to another. You set up a home lab on an old laptop. You install Kali Linux. You follow every write-up on Hack the Box and Try Hack Me until 3 or 4 in the morning. Your grades at school begin to slide. Your parents ask what you're doing in there. You say homework. You're not doing homework. You start to understand the difference between using an exploit and understanding why it works. One makes you useful for an afternoon. The other makes you dangerous forever. You pop your first intentionally vulnerable machine and feel the same electricity as the Wi-Fi router 3 years ago. But cleaner now, more earned. You're starting to understand the language that the entire digital world is written in, and once you learn to read it, you can never unread it. You see every website as a door, every app as a lock, every system as a puzzle waiting. Level 3, the bug bounty hunter. You're 21 and broke, and you just found out companies will pay you to hack them. Legally, you make a HackerOne account. You pick a target, a mid-size e-commerce platform with an active bounty program. You spend 3 days doing reconnaissance. You map every subdomain, every endpoint, every login form. You find a parameter in a forgotten API endpoint that hasn't been touched in 2 years. You fuzz it. It breaks in a very interesting way. You write the report at midnight. You submit it. You wait. 48 hours later, a notification appears. Valid, severity high, reward, $1,500. You stare at the number. You've never made $1,500 doing anything. You've been doing this for 2 days. The math starts running in your head, and it doesn't stop. You attack the next target, then the next. You develop methodology. You build custom scripts that do your recon automatically. You learn to look where other hunters don't. The old mobile API versions, the staging environments left publicly accessible, the OAuth misconfigurations buried 3 layers deep. In your best month, you make $11,000. In your worst month, you make nothing. The inconsistency is its own kind of torture. You're not an employee. You have no salary, no benefits, no guarantee. You are a freelance digital burglar that the company invited through the front door. Some months you feel like a genius. Some months you feel like a fraud. The line between the two is always thinner than you'd like. Level 4, the penetration tester. A cybersecurity firm finds your HackerOne profile and sends you a message. You go in for an interview. You solve every technical challenge they put in front of you. They offer you $85,000 a year. You accept before they finish the sentence. Now you're a professional. You get paid to break into companies that hired your firm to try. Every engagement starts the same way. You receive a target, a scope document, and a rules of engagement contract. You have 2 weeks to find everything you can. You start with open source intelligence, LinkedIn, job postings, GitHub repositories where developers accidentally committed credentials. You'd be amazed what people leave in a public GitHub commit at midnight. You find an internal IP range exposed through a misconfigured cloud storage bucket. You pivot through it like a corridor. You find a Windows server that hasn't been patched in 22 months. You own it in 40 minutes. You write the report. You present the findings. The CISO stares at the screen with a look you will see on many faces in this job. The look of someone realizing their house has no walls. You like this work. It's clean. You have authorization. You have a contract. You have a defined scope. But sometimes, deep in an engagement, when you're 3 hops into a corporate network at midnight, reading emails you were technically allowed to read, you feel the boundary between authorized and everything else start to blur. You always pull back. For now. Level 5, the gray hat. You've been a pen tester for 4 years. You're good at it. You're very good at it. But you start finding things outside of scope. A client hires you to test their web application. While pivoting, you stumble into their partner company's network. Technically off limits. Technically not your problem. But you see a critical vulnerability that could expose 400,000 customer records. You document it. You tell your client. Your client tells you to stay in scope. You do. 3 months later, that partner company gets breached. The 400,000 records are on a dark web marketplace for $3,000. You read about it in a trade publication over your morning coffee. You tell yourself you tried. You start doing unauthorized research. Not for money, not yet. You test systems you have no permission to test because the curiosity is stronger than the caution. You find vulnerabilities and report them anonymously. Sometimes companies respond, sometimes they don't. You are operating in a gray area with no map and no rules except the ones you've written yourself. The legal exposure is real. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about what you accessed and whether you were authorized. You know this. You do it anyway. You tell yourself you're one of the good ones. Gray hats always do. Level 6. The black hat. You don't decide to become a criminal. It happens incrementally, the way most things that ruin your life happen. A contact on an encrypted forum offers you $20,000 for access to a corporate VPN. Just access, not data, not disruption, just a foothold. You tell yourself it's victimless. You tell yourself you won't do it again. You take the $20,000, you do it again. You are now what's called an initial access broker. You compromise networks and sell the entry point to ransomware groups who do the rest. You never see the hospitals that get locked down. You never see the manufacturing plants that go dark. You never see the families who lose years of financial records in a single afternoon. You just see the cryptocurrency wallet and the number inside it. The number keeps growing. You buy a better apartment. You buy a car you pay for in cash. You move your operation across 3 countries and 4 jurisdictions. You use VPNs layered inside Tor, layered inside compromised servers in countries that don't cooperate with law enforcement. You feel untouchable. The feeling is a trap. The FBI doesn't rush. They build cases the way glaciers move, slowly, invisibly, and with enormous force. Somewhere, an analyst has a folder with your entire infrastructure mapped. You don't know about the folder. The folder knows about you. Level 7, the nation-state operative. You are recruited, not by a ransomware forum, by a government. It might be yours. It might not be. The details are deliberately unclear, and you learned quickly not to ask for clarity. You are given a government salary, a nondescript office, and a target list. Your targets are not companies. They are power grids, water treatment facilities, nuclear plant control systems, foreign intelligence agencies, other nations' militaries. The tools you use are not off the shelf. They are purpose-built, zero-day exploits that cost millions of dollars and years of research to develop. You deploy malware that sits dormant inside critical infrastructure for years, waiting for a signal that may never come. You steal research from universities. You compromise satellite communication systems. You map the digital architecture of foreign governments in such detail that you could, if ordered, take down an entire country's internet infrastructure in under 15 minutes. You attend classified briefings. You read intercepts from intelligence agencies you will never name even in private conversation. The things you know would cause international incidents. The things you've done could be defined as acts of war under international law. You don't think about that. You think about the mission. There is always another mission. You stop having normal conversations with people who don't have clearances because you can't talk about 90% of your life. Your marriage ends quietly over the course of a year. You don't blame your ex-spouse. You couldn't explain to them what you do. And the weight of that silence eventually filled every room in the house. You are one of the most technically capable people on Earth. You are also completely alone. Level 8. The Ghost. You don't exist. Your name isn't in any database that you didn't put it in. The identity you operate under today is the fourth one you've used this year. You have not used the same device for more than 30 days. You live in a country that doesn't extradite. You pay for everything in Monero. You eat at the same 2 restaurants because the owners believe your false name, and the routine feels safe. Routine is dangerous. You know this. You do it anyway because you are tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. At your level, you are no longer just a hacker. You are infrastructure. You are the architect of attacks that other people execute and other people take credit for. You design campaigns that run for years without touching a single keyboard yourself. A telecommunications company in Southeast Asia has been feeding encrypted traffic to a server you control for over 2 years. Nobody knows. You have access to things that would reshape public understanding of institutions, corporations, and governments. You do nothing with most of it. Leverage only works if you never use it. You used to have beliefs about why you did this, ideology, freedom of information, some idea about power and accountability, and the right of people to know what's being done in their name. You're not sure when the belief became a memory, became a habit. You are very rich. You are very invisible. You are very alone. A journalist got close to your infrastructure last year. You watched them investigate from inside their own email account. You let them find a dead end you'd built specifically for people like them. They published a story pointing at someone else entirely. You read it on a prepaid tablet in a cafe and felt nothing. You used to feel things. You remember that. Somewhere right now, a 14-year-old just watched a YouTube video. They downloaded a tool someone else wrote. They aimed it at their neighbor's Wi-Fi. The router gave up its password in 11 minutes. The kid is sitting in the dark. Their heart is hammering in their fingertips. They don't know yet what that feeling will cost them. They don't know what it will build them into. They don't know where the next level is, or how many there are, or how quickly you stop being able to count them. They just know one thing. They want more. They always want more. That's where it always starts.